What's going on, guys? This is the Journey video part 3. Okay, now I got the panel. Now, as you can see, this has 4 extra holes drilled into it. Well, and actually even more, because someone put the wrong joystick in, somebody put this crap in, you know, and I'm going to do something to plug those up. Now, you know what? There's a really good way to do it, and I'm going to do it the second best way as far as I'm concerned. In my opinion, the best way to go about this is to actually spot weld some metal in. But I don't want to wait that long. I got the control panel overlay today. I want this sucker done. I'm excited. Let's get this done, you know. So, this is what I'm going to do. I got some packing tape. And I'm going to put it over the holes that I want to fill. Okay, right now there's some packing tape here. And these holes right here are original, but I'm going to cover them up anyways because I'm going to fill them in. Because these new control panel overlays, they're thin. I don't like it. I'm going to cover up somebody's goofy additional joystick holes. I'm going to cover up these holes. This is just plain old packing tape. Make sure that hole, there's no hole there. These holes are covered up. That's what I'm going to do. Flip the sucker upside down. Now, by the way, to get this control panel to look like this, it had sticker goo all over it and whatever. What I did was I threw this in a fire and I burned it. I had this in a fire pit. Now, if you want to know more about that, there's a video I have on my channel called Burn Your Arcade Games. Okay? So, what I'm going to do is this stuff right here. This is actually joint tape for drywall, but it's fiberglass. You see that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these large holes. Now this stuff, it actually has an adhesive on it, so it kind of sticks where you put it. So, okay, got some tape there, some tape right here. Gouge myself on the metal control panel. That's one layer. I'm going to go with 2 or 3 layers. Okay. Okay, so now we have some fiberglass laid down. And I got some epoxy resin here. Ugh, I hate getting this crap on my fingers. I hate it. Okay, so I'm going to make an uneducated guesstimate of how much hardener to put in here. I ought to do it right. Let's mix it up real good. Now this is fiberglass resin. This is the stuff you can buy it at Walmart in the automotive section. You can buy it at AutoZone. It's basically to fix fiberglass on cars or boats or whatever. I'm going to mix this up real good. You know what? Let me clean up the way this looks a little bit with a razor blade. That looks better to me for some reason. Okay. I pour some in here. Pour some here. And I'm going to put some in the areas where somebody drilled holes. Yo, I dumped too much in there. We get a piece of cardboard. Dump too much crap on here. Yeah, I dumped way too much crap on there. That's alright. You can still wipe it off before it hardens. I'm basically putting resin in all these little holes, because I don't want a weak spot that when you push on the control panel overlay, you can kind of feel the hole underneath. That aggravates me. Trying to get the air bubbles out. The less amount of air bubbles you have, the stronger it's going to be. The cool thing about the packing tape is, when this hardens, it peels right off, and then you can start with your sanding. Okay, since I made a nice huge mess of this, I'm going to wipe some of this off. And this takes a couple hours before it's hardened. So let me come back. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this out a little bit, and I'll come back when it's hardened, when it's cured. Okay, it's been a couple hours. I actually put a hair dryer on this so it dry faster. Just so, in case you don't know, heat will make epoxy cure faster. So, it's solid, rock solid. So let me flip this guy over, and let me peel off some of this packing tape. And sorry about the lighting, man. I already know. Go ahead and make your comment. I know who it's gonna be. You know who it's gonna be too. I keep getting a comment about my poor lighting conditions. Let's see here. Get this crap off. See, since I hit it with the hair dryer, good lord, this is dark. That's a little better angle there. Okay. I'm right underneath the spotlight, by the way, believe it or not. I'm underneath 150 watt equivalent LED spotlight, and it's still not that bright. I think part of the blame is my cheap $300 camera. Okay, so I hit this with a hair dryer while it was curing, and it lets some of this this sticker goo kind of get in there pretty good. No, man. But yeah, I mean, that's rock solid. Okay, so let me get rid of this crap. And you know, before I hit it with the sandpaper, because I'm just going to waste the paper, let me hit it with some acetone and let's see if I can get off that sticker goo. Yeah, well, I just came back from a wedding. Did a short little visit. Next door, right next door to me, a buddy of mine got married. So, usually I'm really impatient when I wait for stuff to dry and cure, so that helps me kill some time. Dumped a little more acetone on there. You know, this acetone is not working as well as I thought it would to get this goo off. I hate waiting for stuff to dry and cure or whatever. All this is doing is spreading the goo. Oh well. Wow, now the entire panel's gooey. Great. Okay. I'm gonna hit it with some 60 grit just to knock off the tops of these. Call me crazy, but I like the smell of epoxy resin when it gets sanded. I want this to be perfectly flat. So I can see there's a little divot right here. I mean, I want to make sure this is flat. You know what? Here's something else that I like to do. Now, originally, they put the overlay directly over these divots. You know what I mean? And it wasn't too bad with the original overlay, but it's hard to find reproduction overlays these days that are as thick as the original. So you get a thin overlay, you stick it over something like this, and you can push it in with your finger. So what I like to do is I put Bondo over these. So let me move this aside for a second. An old piece of cardboard. I'll dump some Bondo on this. May not be the best way to do this, but I'm doing it. I don't care. Whoa! Way too much Bondo. All right. Always seem to get this crap in my fingers. I got some of this crap on the table. Right there. Luckily, I have acetone right in front of me. One thing I like to keep handy whenever I'm working with resin or Bondo is acetone. Because man, acetone removes that stuff quick. Okay. So, get a little bit of hardener here. This is a different brand of hardener. It makes it like a cherry color instead of the pale pink color that Bondo usually is. Not that it matters, it's just kind of interesting. Usually when I buy Bondo, when I use Bondo, I go kind of thick with the hardener because I'm impatient. If you put extra hardener in, it will dry sooner. And Bondo isn't as sensitive as, let's say, epoxy resin, where if you put too much hardener in, it won't harden. But let me move this aside. So I always buy an extra tube of Bondo hardener. Just gonna go ahead and dab some of this crap on. I don't care if it's too thick. It comes right back off. You can see there's some, it's not like it matters, but there's some slight divots right here. And since I have, since I know there's going to be some sort of divot here, I'm going to go ahead and Bondo it right here. I want this to be as smooth as possible. You know, actually, an overlay is very forgiving, but I just want it to be perfect. I don't want to... Better safe than sorry, right? Here's some spot welds from the panels made originally. Just gonna fill it in. Now, whoever had this machine before me obviously converted it to that super basketball game, but the panel off of Bump and Jump is the same exact panel. The holes are even in the same locations. But I decided to stay with this because I do have a Bump and Jump panel. But I decided to stay with this panel because the Bump and Jump that I have was converted to a Trivia Whiz at one time, and it had 1,000,000 buttonholes all the way across. So this was the lesser of the two evils. Honestly, it won't look so bad. I mean, it'll look great from outside the machine, but if you open the control panel, you're going to see it's kind of a shit fest. But that's okay. At least it'll be done. All right, I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to do some sanding, and I'm probably going to skip over paint. And let's just go right to the overlay. Okay, I have the control panel laid out here. Also, I taped the panel here, and you know, this is not a die cut control panel, but there's a trick you can do. If you hold this up to the light, and you should be able to see through most control panels, and you can line up the holes that way. I prefer die cut stuff, but you can't always get it. But okay, so I taped it so it kind of stays exactly where I need it to be. Also, if you notice, I painted the front white and I painted the back black. And I didn't do the greatest paint job on the back. I mean, I'm never going to see it. I'm totally okay with it. But the reason I paint the front of panels white or gray, sometimes I'll do gray, is because sometimes if you have it black, it'll dim the color of the artwork. But if you have it white, it seems to make the colors pop sometimes. And it really depends on whatever the company printed it on. So it's kind of hit and miss. But just to be safe, I painted it white. And also make sure you don't have. Make sure whatever color you do use, make sure it's solid. In other words, if you have like a multicolored, overlay, don't put a sticker over that. If your panel's multicolored or has dark spots and light spots, don't put a sticker over it, especially if you have white in the panel, because you can see through these panels, Okay, so I'm going to peel up some of this right here. See, I like 3M stuff, but this is a Aurajet. I never really heard of Aurajet. It sounds like some kind of tooth cleaning material. I don't know. But usually, not always, but usually, when I see a company that I... Kelly, can you hold this for me? Mm-hmm. Just put one finger there to hold it. One finger in the middle. That'll do it. Usually, when you have a company when I see a company I've never heard of before, in general, it's not a good thing. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, so I cut off some of that. I'm gonna go ahead and lay it down. It's going on nice though. Looking good. And sometimes I'll use the wet method for control panel overlays, but I normally don't like to. Not on a control panel overlay. I don't like when you get your CPOs that are larger than the panel itself. I mean, I realize the logic. I understand that, you know, it was made that way so you can trim the edges and it's good for dummies or whatever, but have you ever bought a control panel overlay that when you cut it with a razor blade, it separates the laminate? So you know what I mean. So that's why I'd rather not cut, because you don't always know the material that you're using that you're cutting. Some CPOs cut nicely. Other CPOs, you know, it will mess up the laminate. And let me cut this here. But in this case, this is going very well. I'm liking this so far. It's very sticky. It's working well so far. But, okay, let me peel this off now. Oh yeah, let me take off my tape. Tape on both sides. Now, I'm kind of a stickler on control panel overlays, artwork in general, arcade art in general. I'm very picky, and sometimes you just have to take whatever you can get. But in this case, I do not have an original Journey CPO to compare this to, so whatever this looks like, I'm going to have to be happy with, because I honestly don't know. I don't, you know. But I do have one complaint. I do have one complaint. If you look at this Player One guy, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but if you look at this Player One guy, he's about a 1/16 of an inch lower than these guys. So, whatever, that's fine. Okay, so let me peel this up. Oh yeah, looking good, looking good. Tell you what, this is actually a nice CPO. This is a nice CPO. I have, now once again, I'm hard to please when it comes to artwork. I really am. I've been known to buy the same CPO or whatever 2 and a few times, even 3 times over, just because I didn't like the company that was printed from. But I have 2 complaints, only two very small complaints on this CPO. There's very tiny bubbles in the laminate. Okay, number 1. Number 2, this guy right here is a hair lower than these 2. But I am actually very happy with what I'm seeing. and if I had to buy it again, I would buy it again. By the way, I bought this from Sabo Arcade. I'm actually very happy with it. Keep in mind, nobody's perfect. There's no perfect overlays. I haven't found them, man. Which sucks, because we're doing this to preserve a piece of history, and history is being lost in reproduction parts. It's almost like, it's not even, once you mess with it, it's not even real anymore, in my opinion. But, this stuff cuts great, and it's extremely sticky. Have you ever bought a brand new CPO that just wouldn't stick or go around bends? It's kills me. Yeah, in the last few years, this old game has gone to start using thinner CPOs, and I called the company one time and I says, "Hey man, you guys went real thin all of a sudden." And they said, a girl on the phone said that they went with the thinner CPOs because people were complaining that it was hard to put them on. Which I guess I can see that. I can understand, I guess, but man, I mean, I'd rather have it closer to original than have some guy whine and complain about how they can't put it on. I don't know. This is beautiful. Looking great. Okay, let me cut this guy. It's not delaminating at all when I cut it with a razor blade. Just remember to have a nice, fresh, brand new razor blade when you cut your CPOs. It's worth it in the end. Looking beautiful. I don't care about this area so much because I'm going to put a button over this hole right here. So I'll be a little rough with this. I don't care. There's my two holes here for button 1. Player 1 and player 2 start. I got lucky with this little tear here. Luckily the button's going to cover that up. I'm going to have to go online and look at some pictures of Journey control panels because I don't know what color buttons I'm supposed to put here. Or even if I have the right buttons. I don't have any leaf switch buttons here free right now. So I'm gonna have to put those terrible clicky buttons. I know this took leaf switch buttons because that's what I took in this era. But yeah. Well, in the end, I'm happy with it. Looking good. So, let me populate this thing. Okay, I'm going to jump to the SSIO board. Since most of my harness is homemade, it's not exactly identical or correct with the original Journey harness, although I would have to say 95% of it is basically all the same parts that came out of other machines that I used that will work with Journey, and it's identical. But certain things like the length of the wires is going to be off. But honestly, if you've never seen the inside of a Journey cabinet before, you're going to think this is all original. There's no way you could really tell. But when I'm talking about harness, I'll tell you this. I want to make this simple and easy on myself. And well, there's two reasons. First off, I don't know where the volume knob went on a Journey cabinet. It shows in the schematics, but it shows that there's a 1 kilo ohm potentiometer that runs off of this plug and goes to, probably behind the coin door or something like that, but I don't have that on my cabinet. So I could run this harness to some potentiometers, to some mystery place where I don't know where the hell it's really supposed to be, or I can do this option. If you notice on the board, let me zoom in. On the board here, there's a spot where a potentiometer could have been used if they ever decided to use it at the factory. Well, look what I got. I got a 1K potentiometer. I'm just going to stick that right there, and then our volume adjustment will be on the main board. So let me get my desoldering iron out. Let me zoom in some. People tell me they like to see me solder. Do you guys like to see me solder? So it seems kind of boring to me. Once you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times, right? Okay, so that's desoldered. Jeez, get in there. And, of course, we're out of focus. Why wouldn't we be? There we go. So, I'm just gonna solder this up, flip it over. I don't have my soldering iron heated up right now, so I'm going to use my desoldering iron to solder. Good enough. So now, the volume knob is on the board itself. But okay, let me talk a little bit about SSIO boards. This is the SSIO board, Super Sound Input Output board. Now this board is on Journey, Satan's Hollow, Tron, and many others. Okay, this is basically your soundboard. Now the SSIO board came in two flavors: panning and non-panning. Now, only a few games took panning. I believe Tapper took panning. Discs of Tron took panning. And basically what that means is you have two speakers, and the audio signal would be panned between this speaker or that speaker, which is a really cool option in Discs of Tron Upright Environmental because it gives it like an atmosphere. It's kind of a cool idea. A Tapper, I really don't notice. I don't know, I know it's supposed to take panning. Tapper will work with or without a panning SSIO board. Matter of fact, all of them will, but you will lose the panning option. Anyways, if you ever have a board, okay, if you ever have an SSIO board or that does not have sound, or when you first turn on an MCR game, and it comes up and it shows the color bars and all that. Sometimes it'll say sound interface error or whatever, soundboard error. On the top right here, hand side here, there are some dip switches. If you flip the dip switch 1 on, you're into test mode, okay? If you flip the dip switch 2 on, right here, when it first boots up, this LED will either blink slowly or it'll blink rapidly. And I believe rapid blink was bad ROMs and a slow blink was bad RAM. It could be the other way around, but either way. And if this light stays on continuously, that means that everything was tested good. That's not always that's not always correct. But let me go ahead and set these back. Also, believe it or not, here, if you set 1 up and if you set 3 up to on and on, this is a tone generator test. And you can actually go off pins 3 and 4 of these AY chips, and you should hear boop, 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 two different tones out of both of these chips. But yeah, oh, by the way, Clay Calgill, I was just talking to him because I had some issues with my board. And he told me about his SSIO test ROM. So you can actually put a test ROM in, and it will do all kinds of different functions where you can test this board better than the original test sequence that they made. But anyways, my daughter was asking for me. I forgot what I was saying. 3 boards came with Journey. SSIO, common. Journey, CPU board, rare. And the last board was the video board. That same video board was used in Discs of Tron. It was also used in Tapper, Timber, Root Beer Tapper, of course. I'm sure there's others, but I don't know specifically. But the one hard to find part on Journey is the physical CPU board itself. Now, I was talking to Clay Calgill. I had some issues with my sound, and he showed me how to use his ROM, test ROM and all that, and I kept testing. Everything was fine. Nothing was wrong. I couldn't find anything wrong, but I couldn't get no damn sound at the same time. And so I actually found out, see, there's ribbon cables that connect from here to the CPU board, okay? And by the way, you always want to replace those on an MCR system. But the ribbon cables I'm stuck on ribbon cables. But there's some data that goes between ribbon cables to the soundboard to make it play the specific sounds, and there is a bad buffer in between that. So my sound problem was actually with the CPU board, which I ended up fixing. And I'm sorry I didn't videotape it. It's just I got in the moment, and I tell you what, if I would have videotaped that, you would have had about 8 hours worth of video to watch. So I kind of had a repair nightmare, and I was getting into it, and I didn't feel like recording, but I was getting frustrated too. It might have heard me swearing a little bit in that video. But okay, so now we have a 100% working Journey CPU as Journey PCB, and let's put it together and let's see what happens. Okay, here's the old glass. Yeah, buddy. Okay. Here's the control panel. This is homemade. I mean, this is, you know, it's the best I could do. I did repin the connector so it will fit the Journey harness, but it's basically going to kind of have it labeled still, but I'm gonna plug it right in. Okay. Yeah, buddy. Looking great. You know what? I don't have a marquee yet. And so I'm waiting for this old game to mail out my marquee. So for now, there. As close as we're going to get. Okay, so I went ahead and turned it on, and now it's in test mode. I wanted to show you the MP3 thing I made. This was in the last video. Now right now this is kind of a rat's nest. This is kind of, you know, a rat's nest. I need to straighten up all these wires. But I went ahead and connected the harness and everything. And I used one of those MCR adapters for the power supply. And it turns out my brand new power supply, brand new out of the box from Arcade Shop, was crappy. It couldn't handle it. Now I do happen to know that this is one of those games, this is one of those MCR games that does not need the deluxe power supply. So now the only difference between the deluxe power supply and this power supply is it has extra current on the 12-volt channel, which I'm not even using with this setup that I made here. But interesting, so I'm going to have to get yet another brand new power supply just to make this work. So for now, it's running off the original power supply, and I just connected the amp, you know, my setup right here to this. Now in the last video, you may have just seen this section. I added this amplifier right here. This is basically a computer amplifier, and I wired it in. Now, before you get mad at me for chopping the harness, I didn't. This is the way the harness was. It was already chopped up. This is the original wire that ran to the speakers, but yeah, somebody already chopped it up when they converted it to Super Basketball. Also, if you notice right here, is instead of, I don't have the actual mount for the PCB, but this looks very similar to the original mount, and it's a fan. It's a fan built into that, and it was also made by Midway Games. So it's kind of, you know, I would like to have a fan on this board anyways, because I don't want this to break down again. But also I have not rebuilt this G07 monitor. Not yet. I also need to do a tube swap. Let me go over here. You can tell there is Super Basketball burn in this screen. That's another reason why I brought it to this blue, solid blue screen. Strong burn. So it has a great picture, but unfortunately the tube is burned. You can tell all that stuff. It says Konami down here in the bottom if you look in the right spot. But let's go through the tests. Now, if you remember, I did the MP3 thing. Hold on, where's inputs? Let's check that out. Up, down, left, right, blast, and player 1, player 2. Hold, hit tilt to exit. I didn't wire tilt yet. Damn it, hold on. Let me turn the power off and on. Okay, so this is the screen you get when you first turn on the game. Okay, we're back in. Let's check out the cassette. What did I do? Thought I hit cassette test. What's the big idea? I must have hit it twice. Okay, cassette is now off. I'm going to hit the joystick up. Okay, so we know that's good. Very good, very good. So let me go ahead and, get back here. I just ran the test switch to a simple quick ground. I just got this thing running. I'm not gonna do all the finish wiring yet. But there it is. We're gonna play some Journey. You know what? Actually, my son wants to play this game. He's actually really good at it with MAME. So I'm gonna let him play. Let's see how well he does on the real machine. Let's let me get the camera set up. Let me get the boy down here and let's see what he does. Alright, I got my bouncing baby boy, William. You think you're gonna play a good game today, sir?
I'll do my best.
Alright. Alright, well, don't hit start yet. I want to talk about this game a little bit first. If you don't know, the premise on this game is, okay, you are the band members from Journey, okay? And all your instruments were stolen, and they're put in 5 different galaxies, okay? And the idea is you need to get all those instruments back, and then you can play on stage and have a concert, okay? And there's all these groupoids, or space groupies, that are trying to get the instruments. And they run onto the stage, they grab the instruments, and they eventually, you know, you're the bouncer trying to keep the guys away from the stage, okay? Meanwhile, during that sequence, real music from Journey is playing, okay? And anyways, once the groupoids finally take over the stage, overrun the stage, they get the instruments back, and they spread across the same 5 galaxies, and you have to battle whatever these things are and so on to get your instruments back to restart. It's actually a really cool idea on the gameplay. But okay, well, alright, let's see what you can do. When he gets past this last galaxy and gets the drum, eventually you get on stage. My boy's better than I am. He's been practicing this on MAME in anticipation on playing the real machine. And it starts over again. You have to get the instruments again. But Will is actually pretty good, and so I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off because he could probably loop this again and so on. But you've seen this before, right? You've just seen this. But it gets a little harder. Like now your guitar is over here, so you have to go through a little more obstacles to get the thing. But all right, I'm going to shut the camera off, and you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna shut the camera off right now. Well, guys, I'm probably gonna call it with the Journey series right now. I still have some things to do. I need to replace the tube. I need to do a tube swap, and I need to put the marquee in. I mean, that's about it. I mean, you know, do you want me to make a video of just that? Well, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. Some of you guys have been asking me to do a tube swap video, and I'm gonna do that, but I'm not gonna call it Journey Tube Swap. I'm just gonna do a tube swap video. And in one of my upcoming videos, I'm gonna stick the marquee in. I mean, how can I stretch a whole video out of putting a marquee in? But well, I hope you guys like the Journey series, or whatever you want to call it. Have a good one. Please subscribe, leave some comments down below, and give me some ideas on future videos.